The language of love. Pairs Essentials is known to be its own language. You're going to hear some words that maybe you've heard before, but they have a little bit of a different meaning. Just by a little. Very similar words, but you're going to hear them over and over again throughout our course. One of the four basic ones, the most familiar of words, we have compassion, empathy, goodwill, bonding. These are four critical concepts to pairs. You'll hear this throughout the whole entire curriculum. What's really important for us to know is that the idea for Pairs Essentials to be a part of nurturing and sustaining a long-lasting relationship is that these are really the building blocks of that relationship, the foundation of that relationship. So you have goodwill. It's just being kind to others, right? We're going to speak a little bit more about that on the goodwill umbrella, which will be the next slide. But goodwill is kindness, wanting to provide that for somebody. Empathy, the ability to put yourself in other people's shoes, to feel what they feel, to experience what they might be experiencing. But for 2 moments to sort of get out of yourself and say, what might that person be feeling? What might I feel if I was in their shoes, if I was experiencing that? If we can do that, it shows, selflessness. It shows a moment of time that you can sort of start with that emotional intelligence of finding out what might that person experiencing. Compassion. Compassion is a very common word. It's to alleviate suffering. If you look at the definition of compassion in Pairs Essentials, it's just a little bit different. Compassion in this context is the expression of the want to alleviate suffering. So not only do I want to alleviate your suffering, but I'm going to express that to you. I want you to know. I want you to be aware that I want good for you. That's a little bit different, and it's important. And the last one is bonding. And though we hear bonding all the time in so many different ways, in the context of the Pairs Essentials curriculum, it's a combination of two things. It's emotional openness. That moment that you can take off your mask, that you don't have to pretend, that you don't have to be the strongest person in the room, or the coolest, or the friendliest, or the funniest, or you can take on any situation. But sometimes when you can't, you can say that you can't. Or you can be honest about who you are. You can really let that person know. So it's not just, going through these intense experiences with somebody that have been shared, so you have that bonding. It's also unmasked. It's also that physical connection. It's all of it combined. So that's going to be a little bit different, and prime importance that will come up later on in Pairs Essentials. Bonding is emotional openness and physical closeness. And this next slide, we talk about the goodwill umbrella. Goodwill has 4 parts to it. It encompasses, quote unquote, the 4 C's: commitment, caring, change, and communication. With the want to be kind to somebody, and that being a combination of that care, but not only that care, but the care to commit, the care to communicate, the care to be willing to change. Now we're talking about a whole new world of goodwill. We can have goodwill for the next person, but are we willing to care, change, talk about what we need to talk about? That's the goodwill that we're really speaking about here. Now we finally get to introductions. I want you to think of why we leave introductions for so far into the Pairs Essentials intro. Honestly, we want people to know where we're coming from. At introductions, you're about to have people speak out loud for the first time. If they would have spoken at the beginning, they would have known where you come from, what we're really trying to teach. Is it a safe space? You have really literally laid the groundwork for everybody here to know that it's a safe space, that you're genuine, that you want to teach something because your desire is to get it out there and get it into their homes and let them be able to resolve conflicts and love each other and figure things out and go over hurdles and go get over challenges together. And once they can really hear where we're coming from, now we get to introductions. So now it's on you, the instructor. How are we going to introduce ourselves? How are we going to make sure that we're raising that bar so people know a little bit about us? How are we going to get from them what level of vulnerability we're trying to get them to? So we let everybody know. We start with, we're asking everybody in the room to start with, my name is, I'm originally from, something you might not suspect about me, and what I'd like to get out of this. So first we start with the instructors. My name is Julie. I'm originally from Miami. I was born in Chicago, though I did all my childhood in Miami. Something you might not suspect about me is that I like high adrenaline sports, and I started teaching at high risk communities and schools starting in high school. So for many years my clients were just a few years younger than me, and I loved it, and I love it to this day. And what I like to get out of this is I'd really love to see how many people we can touch. We start with the United States, literally. I mean, this could be a movement to get this into as many families, to get this to as many children. And now that we're working online, it's endless. How many families, how many relationships we can touch is an anomaly, and it's a goal and a challenge for all of us to get to. So that's an example of one. But you can choose so many different things. But be brave. Let people know something. Don't worry about what can I find? What can I say? It's really going to be very important on your side to just be who you are, say who you are. It doesn't have to be exciting. It doesn't have to be unique. It doesn't have to be about work. It can just be what you say, and be free with that. And then of course for your co-instructors, they'll all do the same. And then you open it up for the class. You want to make sure that you're setting the bar at being vulnerable. They're not going to go any deeper than you go. So it would be up to you.